us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name be glory, not to us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name. That's basically the chorus, all right? I just thought, we've heard so much things that God is doing, and it's good to remind ourselves that it's for His glory. And, some of the stuff we go through, and the verses will relate to that. We've talked about this morning about what Christ has done for us. And it's good to remind ourselves that all that we achieve, all that we do, all that we go through, at the end of the day, it's that Jesus might be glorified. And this is a song that really relates to that. Oh, I've lost Chili. Oh, he's on this one. All right, give Chili a big round of applause. He's kind of all over the place this week. Multitasking like no other man can do. Okay, here we go. All the time, all in vain, every image of ourselves that we create, every dream built on sand, every castle slips away when tides come in. Let us not imagine that we might have a hand in where the wind blows, where grace goes. Let not any passion be for kingdoms we have fashioned in our own name, for our own fame. Not to us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name be glory. Not to us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name. Every beat, every breath, every broken road, and every ordered step, every loss, every gain, every spotlight, every shadow, yours the same. So let us not be fooled, and let us not be disillusioned. Let our eyes see you clearly. Not to us, not to us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name be glory. Not to us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name. Anything that's good, anything that's true, let it point to you, let it point to you. Not to us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name be glory. Not to us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name. Anything that's good, anything that's true, let it point to you, let it point to you. Not to us, not to us. To your name be glory, to your name. No walls, no creed, no color, no creed, no right, no left. All you, no less. Not to us, not to us. To your name be glory. To your name be glory. Not to us, not to us. To your name be glory. To your name. Thank you, Lord. That was wasn't it? It's good to rest in the presence of God, isn't it? Lots of things have been going on this weekend, and I guess been buzzing with lots of information. But I pray that what God wants to be resting in your spirit, He will put there, and that other things which are not for you will be, if you like, a little lower down in the priority. So I would ask you not to be too overwhelmed, but just trust God in what you've received this weekend and walk in what God has given you. Somebody may walk in something different, but that's absolutely right, and that's fine. But rest in that, and rest in the Spirit of God, because He says, doesn't He, that we should come and when we go into that yoke with Him, He says, my yoke is easy, doesn't He? My burden is light, so don't be weighed down. We're in the last session, so bear with us. I hope you can keep attention for just a little bit longer, not too long. So we are targeting, I'm not sure if we're going to make it because we're running a little late to start, but we're targeting 1 o'clock for lunch. I'm going to hand over at the very end back to David. He started it, and I think he'll finish it. That's good. But before that, I'm going to give an opportunity for Ken to finalize us with some details. And in between that, we're going to first of all see a video. So I'm handing over for the videos, and then back up again.
Hello, we are Nicola and Daniela Tanashvili from Bulgaria City Plovdiv. This year was very successful for our ministry. We take care for 3 village churches, and that is working in an amazing way. The new project this year was providing food for the needy people in one of the villages. These were non-Christians whom we reached for. They were blessed and they opened their homes and their hearts for us. For Easter, we had our first church gathering with them, with the mayor invited. These people were really touched by God's love and care. We hope this project will continue and more people will come to God. Pray for us and God's work here. Thanks for the support and God bless you.
Greetings from Albania. I'm Pastor Aaron, and I want to thank you for all your support, your prayers, and thank you for being one step in that. I'm sending this video message with a very special background, but this background is the heart of our ministry for the next 5 years. So it makes a lot of sense for me to share with you a little bit God's very open next 5 years. For the moment, I am serving 50% in the church and 50% in the ministry, but very soon I have already started the transition to be part of the church full time. And that's because we want to multiply the small group, and we want to make them not just small group that is studying the word, but a small group that they read the word. And the idea is that this small group will take what we have now to the Word of God, to the power of the Holy Spirit, and turn into a state movement. And we really hope that you will be still with us. Then we will be supported. Thank you very much.
Greetings again from another country. Isn't it amazing? Technology is brilliant, isn't it? Can get us connected with people all over. And so we want to do more of that. And later on, we'll talk to Pete and Bob about what we're doing on the digital side. But first, I'm going to now ask Chris to come up. And he's going to talk about a new venture, a new initiative, which we are doing within 10, and Chris is leading that. Chris has been an ambassador for a long while, it seems like, certainly a few years, and so Chris has been giving his time serving 10, so Chris, here you go.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's great to be here, and I think I've actually only been an ambassador for 15 months. It just feels like an eternity. So, actually, the last guy that spoke there, Arion, he's a guy I've been with for longer than 15 months, and it's just great to be involved in the work of these visionary church planters and pastors in Albania. A team of 4 ambassadors went to Albania in March, basically around the Business as Mission project that I'm going to talk about. But we also visited a number of other areas of the work of 10 there, and a number of our link people. And in fact, Chile alluded to the Riverbank Church, and I want to just quickly, before I talk about Business as Mission, mention that visit. There's lots of great things going on in Albania. It's a very poor country. And interestingly, the Riverbank Church is located pretty close to the center of the capital, Tirana, but it's in the Roma community. And it's riverbank, not because it's a wonderful, on the River Thames, rich apartment area. Oh no, it's where the city puts its rubbish. And it's where the Roma people live, and that kind of the rubbish of society in Tirana. And I'm so glad that we had insightful input about the Roma community yesterday evening, because that actually helped me to understand more. So the Riverbank Church, it's in an area, it's a Muslim country, as you know, largely, although there is freedom to express the gospel in certain ways. But it's located in an area where Islam is quite strong, and in fact we understand that there is an ISIS cell set up there. The Saudis have funded for Albania, I think about 150 or more mosques, so they're just standing there empty, but they're trying to claim Albania as a Muslim country. However, that's not going too well, because actually the church is growing. Riverbank is an area of poverty. When you go to the Riverbank Church, you see it's a rented property. And this really is a very bitter, very sweet, very bitter account that I just want to share with you. It's very bitter because these poor people have been meeting together. When I went to see them last summer, about a year ago, they were praying for men. And it was largely women. The church was probably, I'd say, 80% full. And of those people, almost all the people were women. And one of the leaders of the church got up and said, totally separate from input from us, we must pray for them. So let me fast forward to March, when 2 of the ladies in the Riverbank Church, 3 of the ladies who went to the Riverbank Church were at home, and the drunken husband of the family came back and shot his 2 daughters. So all three of those, the mother and the two daughters, they went to the Riverbank Church. And one daughter died. The other daughter survived. And as a result of what happened, I can't understand why, she actually committed her life to Christ. And on Easter Day, along with 13 in total, along with 12 others, was baptized. The pastor taking care of all this was from the Central Church of Tirana. He said, no, we'll do it in the summer when the water's good. She said, no, I want to get on with it and do it now. Think about it. She's had her sister murdered by her father. She says, I'm going to believe in Christ and be baptized. Is that not a miracle? Here's the bitter piece. The bitter piece is that it's pretty tough to be a Christian in the Riverbank area of Tirana. And the reason is that as soon as the Muslim landlord of the property that they meet in knows that it's a Christian meeting place, they say, oh, we're going to put them. Now let me tell you about the employment characteristics of the Riverbank Church. First time I visited last summer, I was introduced to what I think, and I may be wrong with this, right, but I think is the only person employed in the church. Don't talk about unemployment, talk about spot one or two employed people. What was his job? And we saw it on the great videos that we had last night. His job was going out to the rubbish of the restaurants in Tirana, picking out the recyclables and getting a few cents for it. That's what he did. So what ability does a church like Riverbank have to pay the rent on their house? Would you like to be the treasurer of the Riverbank Church in Tirana? Any volunteers, please? Answer, probably not. So where they get their money from? Well, they get some of it from the Central Church, which has a much more middle class and professional kind of congregation, and they get some of it from a church in the UK. They've got some of it from a church in the UK. 3 times. That's great. However, at the end of last year, that church decided to stop supporting Riverbank Church. How are these guys going to keep going? Well, for 6 months, 10 has supported from central funds that rental, but that is coming to an end in the next few weeks. So I have a request that we pray for Riverbank Church for the pastoral needs associated with people coming to Christ. 13 baptisms. By the way, half of those were men. Hallelujah. And in fact, 2 of the ambassadors who went out on the trip that I'm describing were actually at the church, and Richard Fabio preached that, which was well received. So let's pray for that, and let's also pray that they will be able to continue. Short term, they need to find rentals so they continue to pay for where they meet on Sunday. And apparently, it was packed. Yes, Terry? Yeah, packed. So standing room only. I don't know what Terry was there. I knew he was there. So, but there's a longer term picture. The longer term picture is that this area is for development. And what we want to try to do, if they can, is to buy an apartment in one of the apartment blocks when it's half finished, and then get it and make it into a more permanent church, so they don't have to pay. So I just commit the River Church to you for prayers. It's in the notes. I'm sure it'll be in the follow-up. For prayers for finance, but also just for the heart of the church. And, you know, what do you do when one of your church members has been murdered? What do you do? The main reason we were in Tirana was because of a new initiative that we're just starting really at 10 called Business as Mission. It's shortened to 10 BAM. 10 BAM. So what business's mission is sort of interesting. See, the treasurer of Riverbank Church has a real struggle because his people can't afford to put anything in the congregation plate. You know, if you're treasurer of your church, hopefully there's a few employed people and they might be donating something, they might be giving something, they might be giving a tithe, and it's keeping the church going and paying for the pastor and the church rent costs and the rest. He doesn't have that option. But if some of those people could get employment and could get earnings, from their giving, they would be able to self-support to an extent in a more sustainable way than relying always on charitable donations. Not to say that's wrong, but the idea is to find a more sustainable way for churches in difficulty and orphanages and other works, and not just Albania, but throughout our 10 community. And so what we'd like to do is to work with our partner base to try to identify entrepreneurs, business people who are in the churches who've got that gift, who would feel led and would have a business idea that they would set up as a business's mission venture. Business's mission is intended to be a successful, well-run business. It is also intended to have the values that we as believers would want to espouse. So it's going to be anti-corruption. It is going to pay its taxes. It's going to pay its people back. It's going to need to have efforts towards its suppliers, towards the communities. The safety of anything we do has got to be good. So those values are important to what we do because we want it to be part of the local. But also, it's intended to be financially and business-wise successful. So there are a group of 4 ambassadors, in fact 4 of us who went out, Michael and Terry and Richard and I, were working on the program, and probably others will join over time. And what we want to do is to try and identify those entrepreneurs who've got these business ideas, and that we can then allow them to develop a business plan, which will include the values as well as the business side of things. Try to locate finances. The intent is not to use Thames finances. This is complementary. So we don't want to use the money that's currently being raised. We want to go out to investors for those sorts of finances. And then see if we can find those opportunities. It's not a short-term plan. It's a long-term plan. Stage 1 was think of the idea and develop it. Stage 2 was talk to the leadership and the trustees who kindly endorsed the idea. Stage 3 was put a more detailed seminar together, which we did, and we had the first seminar in Albania at Appendix Visit a few weeks ago. About 20 local people there, some of whom have businesses, some of whom have potentials, from a number of churches. It's great to see the churches from a wider area involved. We've got one business plan that I'm working through with potential candidates who write about and donating to see if there are more. So that means it's what they want to do. Next step would be to do the same thing in Romania in autumn. And so I just want to encourage you, this is not the normal way that TEN is operating. It's an additional string to the bow. It may or may not work, but the resources are complementary to what we're using today. We're trying not to take the time and fatigue in the office, but it is an opportunity to invest. So I encourage you to pray and let us know. Is there any comment or question that will tell you anything I've forgotten, Michael? No? If there's any questions, then feel free to ask me later. It's an exciting project to be involved with. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Next person is going to come down and talk to us. I'm going to ask Bob and Peter to come and talk about what they're doing. We're talking now about what we're doing in the future, vision. So we're talking a little bit about technology. So those of you who are technophobias here, if you have that, then please just switch off.
Can you switch this to the video? I'm going to show you a video in a moment, but one of my highlights is going through this incredible archive of videos that TEN and obviously Evangelist have produced over the years. One of my favourite things is Dave Foster's microphones. The blankety blank Terry Wogan's microphone, just like that. But what I'm in awe of is that how they managed to get their message across without the internet without social media and just reach so many people. So we're very fortunate that we've got this technology today, and I can put out to the world pictures and videos that I've just put on my phone. We've been getting these wonderful messages from our partners who just filmed those on an iPhone and sent them through to me. And so one of the things, I can't go everywhere. I wish Jerry would let me travel a bit more. I like being the roving reporter. So what we do is every time a 10 team goes out, we want to give them media training, get them to send us pictures and videos while we're there. We use some of Alan's award-winning filming, lovely Roma church yesterday, the children smiling. So just trying to maximise what we've got at our disposal. And we don't have a big budget, but God gave us an incredible opportunity for some free publicity on one of the largest Christian broadcasters in the world, God TV. And they allowed us to put our website in this video we're about to see, and this was broadcast several times on God TV around the world. And this is from my trip to Macedonia. This was filmed on the northern border where Ken talked about last night, which is now blocked. You can't get into Serbia, but the night I was there, freezing night, we were giving out soup and hot tea and clothes to people, and you'll hear our friend Mirce in this video. So let's watch this video now. Each day, thousands of refugees are pouring through Macedonia in search of a better life on their long journey into Western Europe. Thanks to the support of UK charity Transform Europe Now, churches across Macedonia are working together to provide practical help to these vulnerable, displaced families and individuals. One of the pastors working with Transform Europe Now is Mirce Andrew from Agape Ministries in Skopje.
We are involved in this work on the south border, in Bulgaria, and north border, in Tabanovce. We have teams, one team on the south, another team on the border. We are going there almost every day. On the north part, we are usually giving them clothes, especially now for the winter, it's very important. It's very cold. But also some food, tea, and those things that happen on the northern border. On the south border, we usually have food problem, because soup and sandwiches. Some clothes, but mainly we have food on the south border.
Pastor Mirce says despite the language barriers, the love of God is able to overcome this as they reach out.
That's God's love. We just want to share this. Very often we cannot say anything about that, but only do something. And we must believe, and we believe that this is enough. This is all that we can do now. And as you say, it's very cold there. The border is very cold, and working with people is not easy. Usually, those millions, they don't know any other language except their Arabic or Farsi or Urdu or some other languages we don't know. But somehow English or some other way we understand something. And but everybody understands love. They love people to share this because they understand it.
Meanwhile, another pastor supported by Transforming Europe Now and reaching out to the refugees is Dragan Manet from Veles in Macedonia. Pastor Dragan says he's seeing an unprecedented unity among the churches right across Europe as they work together in this ministry to the refugees.
I see some kind of unity between all churches, not only Macedonia, but Serbia and churches in Europe. For example, many of us prayed how we were agile the Muslim war down Turkey and Iraq, Iran and Afghanistan. And I think God hear out that prayer, and He sent the people to us now, and all the people coming to our country. So that is big first motivation for me that now we have chance to evangelize them and to show Christ's love. A little seed here is coming with fruit in the other countries like Germany and Sweden and the other.
And Transform Europe Now is continuing to support churches like these across Europe as they seek to minister both practically and spiritually to the refugees. Please pray for their partners who are working tirelessly, primarily in Macedonia and Serbia, where at least 4,000 new arrivals are passing through the country each day. And so I'm just here to talk to you for a couple of minutes about this wonderful word internet and how we're trying to use the internet to reach out to many more people. Now we've got two ways that we're doing this. Obviously we've got the website itself, which is probably the most important way. And a lot of people are able to find us on the internet. Do visit the website regularly. We encourage you to do that. There's plenty of news information going up all the time. But we also use social media channels. We have a Facebook account with over 300 people who are following all the activities of 10 on Facebook. So we encourage you, not all of you will have Facebook, but maybe there are those in your church who love to use Facebook, and they can be encouraged to just share the vision of the Ministry of 10 through going onto Facebook and looking for Transform Europe Now. The other area is this wonderful world of Twitter. I know you're all huge Twitter fans. I think all of you have said to me you've got a Twitter account, you use it all the time, and it's just been a joy to hear that. Twitter is an amazing social media tool because it's out there in the public space. It reaches the world at large. And just to give you some idea, we've been using a hashtag 10 conference. You'll see that there in the blue right at the top, 10 conference. Now that has been used throughout the conference, and we're able to track the reach of this amazing phrase 10 conference. And I did a little report last night, and you'd be surprised, I think, to know that we've had about just shy of 50 separate tweets, or individual messages referring to the conference, but they've reached over 11,000 different accounts. Now, I know there are skeptics out there, and you say, if you're telling me that 11,000 people have looked at this, no way. But among those 11,000, many people will have looked at what we're doing. And another little interesting fact was that our biggest contributor was in fact the De Vere group of hotels, because they retweeted the stories that we were sharing. Okay? And because they have, I don't know how many thousands of customers, but certainly 11,000 of their customers have actually had on their screen something about the 10 conference. So that's out there in the public space. And the rest were accounts that some of you have been good enough just to share what's going on. So the good thing is we can do a certain amount of tracking and monitoring of the effectiveness of these tools. We have a long way to go. With nearly 200 people that have signed up to follow us on Twitter. We want to keep growing that. And these are just some examples on our Twitter wall, which just show some of the photographs. We've done links to the live broadcasts that have been going out. And what we plan to do is to package up some of the films of the various sessions and to put them on the website. Okay, so they'll be posted by YouTube. We'll have a link on the conference page going forward to the various sessions, and so you or those who would have loved to have been here but couldn't make it, they can actually watch and enjoy the sessions that we've had over this weekend. We'll also try and get some photographs as well, a little gallery of photographs. Those of you who want to just share what's been happening. So that's really it in a nutshell about social media. And as I said at the beginning, even if it's not your thing, maybe you know others, maybe you people in your own
families who do like social media, use it a lot, we encourage them to get involved with us on social media. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Pete. Great to hear that. I'm going to ask if Terry will come and say something now, something which is in your power. So Terry's going to come up and just say a couple of words.
Thank you. Yeah, just picking up on this technology issue, you all get magazines every couple of months, and that obviously comes from headquarters. And there's a database which historically has been a large spreadsheet with all names and addresses on it. And we wanted to move into the we want to engage with this a little bit more. So if you know the buzzwords in something called customer relationship management is a big buzzword these days in the technology world. If you're engaging with people, it's not just a list, but you enable connections to happen. And we've got access to some software called Salesforce, and it will mean nothing to most of you. But if any of you are an expert or know anything about Salesforce, please talk to me afterwards. Because Salesforce, although it's a commercial package, they have a not-for-profit version of Salesforce, which is available to charities and schools and hospitals, simply free. So many charities end up paying loads of money to try and get some databases sorted out. But the software's free. The slight snag is you've got to learn to use it. So, but I'm using some of my time to try and get my head around it, and I'm actually going on a course next week. So we're implementing Salesforce. It will mean that within the database we can connect things together. So rather than just having a list of people, we will within that database then create connections. So if there's a church that you're part of, we want to know the people and the church, and then ultimately we know some churches where they've got the links to the partners, so we create that link in the database so we know who's connected to what. It also enables us to, within this room, there's people, I've met people this weekend, there's a guy here who works a prison chaplain. If we don't know that, if it's not in our database, maybe Gary knew it, maybe Sally knew it, but if it's not in the database, the new staff won't know who it is. So please forgive us, because maybe you have been with Gary out to some place for the last 20 years, but some of the new staff won't know that. So the whole idea is to capture it. So hence the form, which I hope you filled in, and I'm going to nab you at the end, and I'm going to pester you, because I really would like. So we want to put the information so that we can capture this. You are our most important supporters, because you're here and with us today. We want to know the churches you're involved with. We want to just kind of network that together within the database. There's something like 600 sort of companies or organisations, and there's other charities, there's trusts. We need to use that information. So over the months that come ahead, we're going to be working on that and trying to make that happen a bit more. So please fill in the form, and we'll capture you at the end. You're all maxed out with so much information, but just to pause with. So, and the link here is with Constanta. You've met Mircea and Ranella. Some of you have been and met already, and you will have known that within Constanta, it's quite interesting because there's a number of couples. There's two other couples that are very dear to our heart. There's Trian and Elena, who work with BBV, and I can show you a whole half-hour presentation on them and their work and all the things that they're doing. They're doing some wonderful work within the centre of Constanta. And then there's Benny and Infuta, who are slightly newer there, and both those couples are Pentecostals. They're working in the Pentecostal church. Again, within them, they've got a heart out into the more rural areas. And we went out once before because there's a church Benny's built. Benny's heart was to build a church, and we've heard about how with the Orthodox when you get the mayor and the Orthodox priest, then there's a power structure which is difficult to break. And by having a local physical church, it has just transformed things. So there was the first church that was built a couple of years ago, and then this last year at the end, Gary and I went out because there's another church that's been built with the help of money from town. And it was actually only £20,000. And they built a whole church, and I can show you pictures if you want to see them. And it was full, and there was the kids there, and Gary preached, and it was just so precious to be part of that. So Constanta is very much on my heart. It's obviously on Nurturing Renella's heart, and so the link there is the next time we're going to do BAM, which what Chris was talking about, is going to be in October in Constanta. Nurture and Renella will have connections from the Baptist church, and then there's the two Pentecostal churches, so we need to do a little bit of coordinating, but that's great to bring some of these guys together. And I know that there's people doing things. I mean, there's a guy that I met in Kleiner Lena's church who does a bit of car mechanics, and he had to do something in the UK, and he came to the UK and he bought a car for £400, which wasn't working properly. He fixed it over there. He drove it all the way back to Romania, which is no mean thing, and then he broke it for spares. And he made we can get 4 times the value of what he bought in the UK by breaking that car. And I think that, there's enterprise, there's people there. I'm trying to think, oh gosh, can we get a container together and put bits in it and say, I don't know what we can do. But there's people there trying to do things, and that's what we want to give them and help. So I just wanted to make that connection. Isn't it wonderful about how these connections work? And that all started out of the Trumpet of Gideon conference, where we met Nurture and Renella. And in fact, looking at those videos, so many of those people there were at that Trumpet of Gideon. Sako, you were there as well. And I know that's something I think we're thinking about for next year, whether we do another Trumpet of Gideon, because connecting partners together from different countries, isn't it wonderful what God's doing? So, yeah, thank you for that.
Hello, afternoon. We've been talking all about building connections, and as the person who's mainly focusing on you wonderful people as supporters, I want to talk about how you can sort of build on the connections you've got locally to get the word out about TEN. I'm sure a lot of you have talked to other people over the years about TEN, but I'd encourage you to think about what connections you've got and who you could talk to about it. But first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you for all that you do. It's wonderful, your partnership with us and with the partners in Europe. We couldn't do it without you. And I want to really say thank you to all of you for your wonderful support. It's really appreciated. And I think the wonderful thing about TEN is this whole thing about partnership in the gospel. Our supporters here, our partners in Europe, all of us, those of us in the office, our volunteers, our ambassadors, working together to see Europe transformed, and it's just fantastic to be part of that family. Going back to the early church, that call to Macedonia. Actually, that was how I got into TEN, but that's another story. But through that Bible passage, but that sense of partnership is just wonderful. So I want to think a little bit about how you can perhaps help us to raise people's awareness of Transform Europe now a little bit more. Maybe you're doing this already, but I just want to ask, who are the contacts that you have? Your family, your friends, you probably know a number of people who are members of different churches, who you could perhaps just informally chat to, you probably do already, but who you can talk to about TEN and about the work in Europe. And I think often it just takes a bit of time to just stop and think and focus. Who do I know? Where are they? What churches are they connected to? Who could I just speak to about it and try and spread the word a little bit more? So that's one way in which I want to encourage you to think about what you can do to raise the profile, to tell more people about the wonderful work that's going on. And the other way that, and also your own church. Does your own church support the work of TEN, or are you giving as an individual giver? We had a wonderful partnership that's just in the process of being developed with a church in London, where a faithful supporter had given for 50 years. And now he's spoken to his church mission committee about them taking on a partnership with TEN, and it looks like they're going to be partnering with one of our churches in Macedonia, which is absolutely wonderful. So, it takes a long time sometimes to build from one or two people in the church supporting the work to maybe that church thinking about a partnership. Could your church think about a partnership and work with us in that way? So, as we've heard, partnerships are often with very different churches, and a number of them not even built yet. But could you consider a church partnership? When we look at church partnerships, we try to match up churches here with churches in Europe, thinking about what heart they have, what kind of mission they're involved in, and putting them together with a good partnership that works. So that's how we try to do it. But another way that people can raise the profile as well as supporting our partners is through fundraising. And this is Chili's daughter, Bea, who is our youngest supporter. She made gingerbread men for the refugees and went round with her dad to her neighbours and sold them and made about £30. Yeah, so isn't that wonderful? And we've got other supporters who are helping with community and fundraising events of various sorts. I'm just going to ask Michelle just to come up very briefly and share what she's done to actually raise funds, but also raise the profile in her community.
This isn't just about me, this is about everybody out there who's been fundraising and raising awareness. And I'd like to add some Carol. We have over the years, I think it's probably about 25 years now, we've done lots of fundraising. And it's about doing what God has put in your heart, the skills and expertise He's given you. You are where God wants you to be. Sometimes you feel a little bit inferior when you hear about the great work that's going on with our partners. But you are exactly where God wants you to be. And we are there to bake, have coffee mornings, large or small. Are you a member of the WI? Could you have a store and raise some money? Could you do an open church? We've done that before. Could you organise a concert? Could you organise a ball with a team? Could you do some sponsored events? We've got Peter who's running the marathon. We've got Jerry who's going to do an amazing cycle ride. And we've got Phil who climbed Ben Nevis. Almost killed him, I can tell you. Are you a great gardener? Could you grow some cuttings? Could you have a store at Open Church? How about clearing out the loft? We've all got stuff up there. Could you have a church car park sale? A car boot sale? Nearly New event. Carol is the queen of Nearly News and she could guide you on how to do it. Could you do a festive fun quiz at Christmas? We've done it over the years and we've raised thousands for CASA and for the hospice in Aradia. Stalls and quizzes. Just use your imagination. How about a games night at home or at church? How about a safari supper? Ladies' evening with stalls and chocolate fountains are always popular. We are partners in this ministry. I'm not called to do out in these countries. I'm called to get on here in the UK and raise awareness and support and pray. We are ordinary people, but with God we can do extraordinary things. And we are true partners in this work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we're just going to see a little video that summarises what we've been talking about.
think we should just give yourselves a round of applause. On your chair, you have a piece of paper, but just ask you to just focus for a few minutes. Just you could do this after you've gone home, but just for 1 minute with a pen, if you have one, just take a minute to just have a look at that and think, is there something I could maybe do? Is there somebody I could speak to? Who do I know and what church are they a part of? Could I have a word with them about 10? So on one side of your paper you've got a little prompt about contacts, and on the other side you've got a little prompt about fundraising ideas. They don't have to be big ideas, the simpler the better. But if there's anything you can do, just want to encourage you to think about, who you might speak to and what you might be able to do. So just a minute to focus, and then we're going to move on to the next, back to Joel. So thank you.
I think I've boxed myself in a good corner. We're running out of time. And I know I'm standing between you and a beautiful Sunday lunch. So I'm not going to take very long just to conclude. I'm going to hand over in a moment to a couple of other people to wrap the session. One of the things I had on the agenda this morning was to talk about vision and future, where we're going. For those of you who were with us last year, we talked about a number of things, but we started this weekend with a picture of a man. And but before we go to the picture of a man, I want to tell you about one other piece of paper which is in your pack. And that bit of paper in your pack talks about something you can easily do, adding on to what Melanie has just said, and that is about fundraising. There's two ways in which you can fundraise for us without costing you a single penny. Doesn't that sound good? Easy peasy, they say. So all you need to do is to go on to the Easy Fundraising site, register yourself as with an account, find Transform Europe Now, and then every time you shop on the internet, we will get some money into our account. Or, and not all, register your credit card, so when you go in store and use your credit card to pay for things in certain stores, you will also get some money into our account. And it won't cost you a penny. So why not do it? So there's a bit of paper in your pack. You can use that, and hopefully you will be able to help. I was going to show a video. I'm not going to because there's not enough time. So let's cut on that one. I just want to wrap now on a brilliant weekend. And we started off with this guy. Those who weren't with us Sunday will know this is Bishop Latimer. And my middle name is Latimer. So I asked my parents why, when I was old enough to ask why they called my middle name Latimer, because it didn't seem to fit with anything else in my family. And then they told me, well, actually it does. They said, my father's mother's line, right back through, comes back to this gentleman. So, what in my lineage, if you like, in my heritage, is a bishop who was martyred. Now, I don't want to follow the same way as he went, but I just I'm thankful. So it's a double meaning for me to be here today, I guess, and in a place called Latimer, in Latimer House, in a village called Latimer, though he wasn't here, but also knowing that what he stood for and what he said when he said a light would be lit when they were burnt, which was a candle which would never go out in England. That was their prayer. So we can bless God for that. And he has made a difference. And I suppose it's been a real inspiration as well, isn't it, to us all. And we now have the freedom of the Word of God in our hands. Wherever we go here, we have this because of what he stood for in the early days of the Reformation. We made some changes this last year, lots of changes. I'm going to skip over it quickly because there were some other people I was going to talk about, but I'm not going to. And you probably don't know who they are. Some you might, but I know we've run out of time. But this man said something which was really important. I think is the essence of where our partners are and where we need to be as Christians. Some want to live within the sound of a church bell or a chapel bell. I want to run a rescue shop within a yard of hell. C.T. Studd said that. And his life was an example of that, wasn't he? And I was at Farley and I bought his book. And it influenced on my life too. So as we go forward from here, I want to leave you with a verse. And the verse is this. It's Ephesians 2. And I want to take you to the very last part of it. This is where Paul talks about here about where Christ is, seated in the heavenly place, isn't it? God raised him up after he died for us. And the church is his body. It is made full and complete by Christ, who fills all things everywhere with himself. There are other translations, another translation which says everywhere and everything. He fills everywhere and everything. That is the church. Because Christ, he is the church, and he is in the church. We are his body. And so he is filling everything. So we have his power and authority as we are out there. We are lights. So making a difference is what we want to do as we operate with our partners across Europe. We want to work with them effectively. We want to walk with you. We want to deepen our partner relationship. And last year, I've got a lot of love to say to you today, but I think time has gone, and I know you're waiting for your lunch. But one thing we want to do, and one of the key things we said last year, and it will be what we believe we need to walk with this year, is that sensitivity and that listening to the Holy Spirit. As we hear what the Holy Spirit says to us and what he wants us to do as we walk with partners across Europe, helping. I had a vision, and that was we were in a prayer time once in the office, and the vision I had was a front line of a battlefield. And the front line of the battlefield looked like this. I saw these people out there who were, if you like, fighting the enemy. In a bit of an old-fashioned battlefield, not today's modern technology. And then I saw, coming to the front of the battlefield, supplies and chains of supplies coming there. And then I saw those who were preparing those supplies and those who were taking those supplies, but those who were out there doing the work on the front line. And that's an image of what we are, I believe, as 10. We see ourselves as being the, if you like, the resources, the supply, the help, the prayer, the support, the finance, and everything else, delivering out to those who are our partners who are working right there on the front line, serving God in the battlefield. And in the front line is a hard place to be, but they need us, they need you as prayer support. They need you so that they can be effective. So stand with us as we stand with them. God also said, I believe, as we were thinking about future, a number of things about redigging some of the old wells, so that taking us back to perhaps some of the places we've been before, some of the countries we're no longer representing right now, but we'd love to. So God is challenging us as we're hearing him and waiting on him to see where he wants us to respond. And one of the key things I think came out of one of our prayer times was the sense that we were standing on the shoulders of giants. And I think that is so real for us. We are not, 50 years ago this mission started, and the great men who have gone before us and have served diligently over the years, and I'm thinking of Dave Foster, Gary Cox, who's here, and these are the giants who've gone before. And we are standing on those shoulders. And by standing on shoulders of giants, what do we see? We have a greater visibility. We see further, but there's a foundation laid. So we can see further, we can do more. And so we're seeking God to be able to go further. I get emotional because I just have a sense of what I want to do. Sorry. Yeah. As we wait, let's hear the Holy Spirit. God is coming, I believe, in a strong way across Europe. And I just have a passion to see that happen. I hope you do too. There are lots of other things in my, and I know we've probably had PowerPoint to death this morning, but I have a real sense that God has a real calling on some of our lives here today. I sense that He wants to do much more. So let's trust Him to do that, shall we? I want to ask Ken to come up just to do some admin stuff. It's unusual for me to get that emotional. I'm not sure why I am this morning, but there is something going on here today. And I thank God for that. Amen.
Okay. We do have a few minutes before lunch, so we're not in a rush. I do have a small piece of paper with a lot of notes on it. So I have some practical announcements, but I actually have some things I really want to do first. And